So in case you haven't heard, the rumors about Diddy possibly getting a pardon, well, it seems like that's passed. But now, recently, rumors are circulating that President Donald Trump may be commuting Diddy's sentence. Diddy may serve hardly any time in prison after this. We're going to get into the details. We're going to actually give you some background on what's going on here. I found the video from where the president was kind of waffling about whether he was going to pardon Diddy or not. And he's like, I don't know. So we'll listen to that and then we'll see what's actually going on here. If this happens, I will be the first to admit that I was absolutely wrong, because I will be shocked if this goes down. Let's see what Fox 4 has to say about this. Check this out.
President Trump may be considering commuting the sentence for Sean Diddy Combs, and K-Fed is revealing new details about the end of his marriage to Britney Spears. TMZ's Branson Quirk is live in Los Angeles. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
We are doing great. Let's start with Diddy. So he's serving a 50-month prison sentence for prostitution-related charges.
It'll be
he's
17 months.
13 months, and with credit, would get out in about 2 years. But you guys have a source in the White House who says Diddy could actually be out as early as this week if the president gets involved.
That would be crazy.
Right, exactly. TMZ, we spoke to a high source there at the White House that told us that Donald Trump is vacillating, really considering pardoning Diddy. And as of this morning, the White House did reject that is a true statement. But TMZ is currently standing by that statement as of this morning. We spoke to someone that is very important at the White House, and that's what they currently say. So the White House is saying one thing, and then this official is saying another at this very moment. And yes, Diddy, with that 50-month sentence, he's been in for about 13 months now. So with time served and with credit, he could get out. His legal team is saying like 2 years and some change. But we do know also that Diddy, just in the last 24 hours, did also officially file to appeal the case. We know that he was making this promise. His team was making that promise to do this. And then just within 4 to 6 weeks, we'll see an official brief for this appeal.
Yeah, that'll be interesting
stay tuned.
too.
So Kevin Federline has a new tell-all memoir, and if you're going to tell all as K-Fed, it's going to be about Britney Spears and that relationship, including the moment when he said enough is enough. What is he saying about that phone call?
Well, just in the past.
Yeah, we're not worried about Britney Spears. Let's go back and do a little bit of a rewind and see when the president addressed this and what he actually had to say. So this was what President Trump had to say when he was asked about pardoning Diddy. Check this out.
They're wasting a lot of money if they're going to continue with that nonsense.
And this one's a little bit more of a page 6 question, but back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Mr. President, now I'm gonna have to call cap on that one to my guy, the President of the United States. I think it has a difference when it comes to the pardons, and I don't foresee the president pardoning Diddy. Now, with the commuted sentence, that's a little bit different, and it could potentially happen. Let's see what TMZ has to say about this. They're the ones who initially reported this from their White House source, and I want to know what you guys think about this. All right, check this out. TMZ stands by their story after the White House denies Trump's considering commuting Diddy's sentence, possibly this week. Let's see what they have to say. All right, so this just happened today. First thing this morning, the White House Communications Office is saying that TMZ is
Stop the cap.
lying. All right. But they say we stand by our story. Our story is accurate. Then tell us who the source is. They're not going to do that. Donald Trump is considering commuting Diddy's sentence as early as this week, according to a high-ranking White House official. According to our source, the president is vacillating on a communication. Why they would use that word, I don't know. We're told some of the White House staff are urging Trump to not commute the sentence, but other sources state the obvious. Trump will do what he wants, and we're told that Trump could see Diddy free as early as this week. All right. Y'all think it's going to happen? I don't think it is still. Diddy is serving a 50-month prison sentence for violating the Mann Act 2 times, actually. He served 13 months with credit. He could get out in around 2 years, 17 months, they're saying. But none of that matters if Trump commutes his sentence. As you know, Trump commuted the sentence of former Congressman George Santos last Friday, and Amy reported on this over on X as well. If you missed that, make sure you go follow her to stay up to date on the latest news. She's got a lot of great information over there, and she's posting constantly and gave some specific details about George Santos. And we're actually going to get into that in a second. What they also say is we know almost immediately after Diddy was sentenced earlier this month, his legal team was in touch with a high-ranking White House official who has the ear of the president regarding regarding Diddy being commuted or his sentence being commuted or a pardon. Just days later, Trump told the media he was aware of the ask. All right. Diddy fell out of Trump's graces when he supported Biden in 2020, but Trump did not slam the door shut on showing Diddy mercy. We're told it's now squarely on the table. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Let's hear what happened with George Santos here, because I find this very interesting. Don't have a lot of information on what happened to George, but we're going to hear about it here and see if maybe there's some similarities between his case and Diddy's case. Let's see.
When you're going through prison and through the process, it's you're angry throughout the process. When you get to prison, it's sobering.
Yeah.
But what really did it for me was being in solitary confinement in the special housing unit of FCI Ferriton for 41 days. That broke me. It put me in a position where I had to start reliving and almost like a movie of my whole life in the former years of how I ended up in this position. And obviously religion plays its big role on it. I mean, I really atone, I would say, with my own religious beliefs and square that away with God. But most importantly, it was the mental health aspect of it. I learned that the hate that the poison that hate is wrecked me, wrecked my whole life. Lying, being duplicitous, disingenuous, obfuscating, none of that is worth it. It's like, what was I doing? I look back at past statements and I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I allowed myself to be so consumed with hate that I put myself in this position. So now it's about purpose. I found a purpose, and that purpose is helping troubled youth, helping prison reform so people can actually be rehabilitated. So prison itself was angering, but solitary confinement for 41 days and being completely dehumanized really is where you put everything into perspective.
George, I've heard you say that you felt like that 41 days that you spent in solitary was completely unwarranted, and that you were placed there out of some revenge by the warden. Why do you feel like the warden had it out for you?
I was documenting my prison journey, and that was what it was supposed to be. But I started finding so many irregularities, from black mold to expired food to money being misappropriated and taken away from prisoners' rehabilitation process. And while the warden is buying 85-inch, multiple thousands of dollar TVs for her private office. So that's I started writing about it. So an opportunity arose when an old death threat that was investigated back in 23, like the countless others, hundreds of death threats that I had, the Capitol Police had investigated this unfounded, uncorroborated threat that there was a conspiracy with powerful elite politicals and socialites that wanted to kill me, but they never actually did because it was fake. But now all of a sudden they were going to break into prison to kill me. I've heard of breaking out of prison, guys, but breaking into prison, I find it to be very hard to believe.
Shout out to George, man, up out of there. What do y'all think? Is Diddy going free? Is the president going to commute his sentence? I'm not seeing it. Shout out to TMZ. They're usually pretty accurate, but hearing from a person who's next to the person, I'm not buying it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.